Hi guys. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I was in the middle of talking to someone and I wanted to make sure I finished my conversation, and then I had to say good night to my son. How are you guys? How is everyone? I haven't really been live for a few days. I don't think it's been since maybe Monday. I can't remember. I'm trying to stick to just normal uploads, and that's been doing really well. I feel like the last few days on this channel, there has been so much great content for you guys. I hope you guys are noticing in the uploads that I'm spending a lot more time sourcing videos and trying to put in fun clips for you, along with adding a little bit more media so that it's a little bit more interactive and not so much just you guys staring at a photo, pretty old me all day. Just kidding. But I am trying to improve the channel always. And I've been feeling a lot more creative lately. The last few weeks or so, it's just been, I've been weighted down and I'm feeling a lot lighter. So that's been evident in me being able to focus and get more content out for you, which is really what I love doing so much. And I've been loving putting all these videos together for you. So if you have not yet seen the videos I've put out today, there was one about Jason and James Duggar and Jim Bob sending them away to Alert Academy. And then there was another one on Justin Duggar. Both videos are performing really well right now, so make sure you check those out. Tonight's going to do just a quick update on two things I wanted to talk to you about, and we'll give you more stuff related to the Duggars, more exclusive stuff coming soon. But okay, so I want to start off first with the teen mom stuff. So on this last Tuesday's episode, Maci and Ryan. So there was this really awkward exchange between Larry and Jen and the producers, and they were talking about how they were all wrong about Maci, and they were saying we were wrong about her. She's a trigger for Ryan. If I have to pick between Ryan and Bentley, I'm going to pick my son. I'm sorry, Bentley, I love you, but I have to pick my son. And it was really this random, it felt like there was something missing. Why would he have to pick? What was it that happened that he would have to pick between the two of them? So I reached out to a source connected to the family on Ryan's side to see what was going on here, because I felt like something had been missed out. I did a video about it. I felt really confused. In my video, which I think I did yesterday, a lot of you guys felt like Maci might be alienating Bentley from Ryan. And yeah, it's too personal. For sure, Victoria. So here's what I've found out thus far. So according to the source, here's what happened. So sometime this summer, they were at a baseball game, and Jen and Larry were there, and Maci obviously was there, and it was Bentley's game. And apparently when the game was over, Jen and Larry were leaving, and they say that Maci allegedly cornered them and started berating them and kind of yelling at them, and told them that they had to make a decision, and they had to decide whether or not they were going to choose Bentley or Ryan. And she wanted them to make the choice on the spot. She didn't provide any reason for having to make a choice. She just said she just gave them an ultimatum, it's Bentley or Ryan. And according to who I spoke to, they were left very confused about that. They didn't understand what, if anything, and why they would why she would even do that, right? Why would they even want that? Where would that even come from? So this result was Larry apparently saying that he was going to choose his son, obviously, but they were left really upset because the whole thing happened with Bentley right there. And then apparently a few weeks later, they start getting some production letters, I guess, that want them to talk about therapy. And so leading into this season, they kind of were weighing back and forth, I guess, according to the source, whether or not they were going to sign off on that, concerned that this was going to be used as a storyline, worried that this was going to be some sort of angle used by Maci. And from what I'm told, after that incident at the baseball park, she effectively cut off all contact with everyone. Like, she refused to talk to Larry and Jen. She would not tell them anything, and she refused to let Bentley see his grandparents or to see Ryan. So he was not allowed to see anyone. Do you think Ryan is sober? From what I'm told, he's sober and he still goes to meetings and he's been working his meetings. Obviously, it's, you know, the journey of addiction is not an easy one, but as long as he's sober and he's present when he has Bentley, I think that's what matters. And I'm told that he's still going to therapy and he's going to meetings. So the confusion, though, was that from their perspective, she gave them no understanding. And every time she told them that they needed to do something, they would comply. And then she would change it. And then she would decide later on that she needed him to do something else. And it was like, they felt like they kept ending up in impossible situations with her where they could never meet her expectations. And they got to a point where they felt that she was trying to create crises in Bentley's life and then was effectively coming in to swoop in to save him like a martyr. And they're starting to realize that not only is they realize that Ryan's not perfect and he's made a lot of mistakes, but they also say that, you know, they're also going to say that, you know, Maci herself is controlling the narrative and sort of controlling the things that are around them. So, and alienating Bentley. And I don't know, you know, when you kind of look back in totality at the life that they've had, I think she has definitely had a hard time wanting to give out any control, but then she also has a lot of reasons to give up to be the way that she is in terms of like not being able to trust Ryan and also being concerned about Ryan in the same respect. Forcing Larry and Jen to pick a side seems like a horrible, like, why would you put parents into that kind of position? And I asked the source, do they know, like, did Maci have reason to believe that Ryan was using again? And they said, absolutely not. That Maci has literally no communication with them at all. And that she could ask if she wanted, but she has not asked ever what's going on with Ryan's sobriety or with Ryan in general. And they also said that they don't find out about half the crap that she says until they watch the show. And then she starts using his sobriety or that being a reason for why she doesn't want Bentley around him or whatever. Like, it just, they kind of feel like it's a situation where she's not allowing Ryan to be a dad and he wants to be a dad, but he can't be a dad. So I don't know. It is sad that she would alienate the grandparents for sure, because Jen and Larry have been very, very, very involved in Bentley's life. And who this information comes from, I know you guys are talking in the chat. It really doesn't matter where it's coming from. I'm respecting the privacy of the people involved in the situation. So I'm just going to say it's a source. I don't want to out anyone, and I don't want anyone to be outed. And they want to remain anonymous. And I speak to a lot of people in the cast. So, but in this specific situation, I find it really confusing because in terms of Ryan, I guess he's doing okay. He's doing meetings. He's going to therapy. He's hands-on, apparently, with his kids with Mackenzie. And that, you know, now apparently they're in therapy. So I guess Ryan and Bentley started going to therapy as of recently, within a couple months. And those sessions are being kept private from my understanding, so that Ryan and Bentley can work through things without having Maci in the middle of that. And their sessions, I'm told, are being kept between the two of them to help them sort through this relationship. And they're hoping that this will help Bentley and Ryan sort of find a path forward where they can work together to become dad and son. I'm told that Ryan is extremely motivated and he wants to have a relationship with Bentley really bad. And he's always wanted to have a relationship with Bentley, but there's always been the roadblock in the way of Maci kind of making it feel like the problem. Maci being, you know, putting up different situations that make him feel like he can't see her. Maci would say that without a reason. Maci sees that Ryan isn't fully sober. If Maci didn't care about Ryan, why would she have Bentley go to therapy to repair Ryan and Bentley's relationship? I don't know. I think the biggest thing, I definitely watched his show, but I think that the problem here is that, and I'm not saying Ryan's perfect, and I don't think Ryan's family or anyone connected to Ryan would say Ryan's perfect at all, like even remotely. But I do think it's interesting that MTV left that part of it off the table. Like, apparently the way that the interview was done with Jen and Larry is they asked them about what happened with Maci, and they left out the entire altercation. So they said they didn't give any context to why Jen and Larry said that they chose Ryan. And they said that it was an impossible situation. So they basically said, like, tell us about what happened with Maci. And then they tell him the whole situation. They explain how Maci cornered them. They explain that Maci forces them to pick a side. They explain that this is all happening before in front of Bentley. They explain how emotional it was, how awful it was for them, how terrible they felt like they had to make this choice in front of Bentley, how unnecessary that it was. This is this is their side. So we don't know what Maci's position was. We don't know why she forced him to make that side, or why she forced them to make that decision. We don't know why Maci cut off contact. We really don't know why for anything at all. So I'm not here to pick a side. I'm just telling you what was said. And, you know, I don't know what Maci's side is. I don't know why she would suddenly, I'm told that nothing had changed. There hadn't been any incidents. There hadn't been anything concerning going on. I don't know. That's kind of where they're at right now. Ryan is in therapy with Bentley right now. I'm actually not blaming Maci. I'm just telling you what the source said. So I don't have a position on what Maci's doing either way. I really don't. Whether Maci had a reason, I don't know. Whether Maci is concerned about something, I don't know. I'm honestly, guys, just telling you guys what happened according to Ryan's side. And that aspect was left out of the show, and they don't really know why. So I do think it's weird though, and this is not about Maci, but just in general, that the therapy component is included in the show. And I do wonder from an ethical standpoint whether or not this is okay for the therapist to be having calls basically recorded. And I wonder if the therapist knew that the calls were recorded. As soon as I heard the therapist talking to Maci about Bentley, I felt really uncomfortable. Like, I was like, this is not, I don't need to know that. And I don't discount that Maci's a good mom at all. And Ryan has not made it easy at all. It's a really sad situation, but it does make me pause as to why there would be a sudden change with Larry and with Jen. So I loved this life for years and had to do what Maci did for my kids. Oh, you live this life, and I get why she does what she does. I hope the best for them, and Ryan stays sober and Bentley can grow closer to Ryan in the end. Yeah. I think just healing and better communication would need to happen. To be honest, as I'm listening to it from both sides, it seems like the breakdown in communication and the fact that there is no communication is half the problem. And I do wonder if therapy between all of them would help, just to help them all bridge that gap and have better communication. With Maci and Ryan, like, not communicating at all, like, I also wonder if going to court and having a guardian ad litem of some sort to come in as a neutral third party to help them move forward would be a good thing. I mean, if the dad is at a point now where he's sober and he wants to do better and he wants to be involved and the child wants to be involved with the dad, I think you have to allow that to happen. So I hope that's the resolution. I'm just kind of confused why MTV would have left that part out. It really made no sense to me. Maci and Ryan need to sit down and then have them all together. Yeah. There's never a good answer, but therapy would help for sure. Correct. Okay. So there's always the camp that absolutely hates Ryan, and then there's the camp that says Ryan deserves a chance. And somewhere in the middle is a kid that wants to be with his dad. So hopefully they can find some sort of resolution. What I do hope is that, I don't know, I'm so torn. What do you guys think about this playing out on TV, though? Does it feel at all exploitative to you that this is happening this way? Do you feel that, do you feel that there could be downsides to this for Bentley to have this be playing out so publicly? As the kids get older, I'm constantly wondering what this is going to do for them to have this so forthright in the media. And I realize I'm talking about it now. I just want to know, like, what the audience feels about this, because I feel like I've been getting money talks and they all get paid. That's what the teen mom does. They exploit their children. I feel it's intruding on Bentley because his life is so public and so sad. What I always feel like is really bizarre in all of this is, wonder if one day they will start to have child labor laws for kids on shows like this. My concern always, and this, it feels fake on TV and they're on Days of Our Lives. Any fights on TV are teaching exploitative, and shows their kids are on TV are exploitative. He will see this someday and not be happy with either of his parents. Yeah, I kind of feel like that could be that could be true too. And you said maybe no sense. It made no sense to me either. Mac is a troublemaker. I feel like his parents apologized because that's what Ryan and Mac wanted. They have never stood up to Ryan, and when Larry has tried, his wife cries. The whole show is exploiting children, same as every reality TV show, but then what would we have to talk about? This is true. I think Bentley's therapy is and should be a private issue. No way should it be broadcast. So here's my concern with this. And I think it's the same issue that people were having with Chelsea on Teen Mom 2, is that Maci will rarely give anything of herself. Maci does not spend a lot of time on the show talking about her own problems at all. Maci doesn't talk about her own issues. She doesn't talk about her own struggles outside of PCOS. Maci talks about what Maci wants to talk about and protects the privacy of what she doesn't want to share, and then chooses to use the drama between Bentley and Ryan as the drama for the show, in a way, because really she's sort of dictating what the storyline is going to be. And Chelsea kind of did the same with Audrey. Chelsea gave no background about what she was going through, her stresses. She protected her privacy immensely, protected her relationship immensely. Like, we don't know, if there's issues between Maci and Taylor. We don't know, anything like that. So there's that aspect of it. Like, why is she so protective of her privacy? But then she doesn't give the same level of protection to Bentley's privacy. I think that's kind of the question that I have. If she was so concerned about herself and her issues being known, wouldn't she then hold the same thing for her son? Yeah, that's about it. And this season, Larry and Jen are going to try to stand with Lauren because he's been sober for 5 minutes. Maci is always in Ryan's ear and needs to let him work to get his son on his own. Oh, Mac is always in his ears. Yeah, I'm not saying that anyone is perfect in this situation at all. At all. Like, all parties are speaking about the child, right? All of them. So it just feels a little bit of like a double standard to me. Okay, so that's what we have for Maci and for Ryan. Now we're on to the Duggars. So earlier today, she is actually, if you follow her Instagram, she's actually been she's been working out and just eating cleaner. So she also was pregnant back to back. So sometimes it takes a while to lose the weight. But who knows? I wouldn't say that she's using, I don't think that's true at all. This is true as well. Okay. So, Jana Duggar. So earlier today, I did a couple of videos on Jason and James. So there was a video, a lot of you guys have asked about stuff about Alert Academy. You have wanted to know about Alert Academy. You have asked about Alert Academy. You have been questioning Alert Academy. You have been wanting to talk about Alert Academy. So I did a video about that. And then I also did a video about Justin and Claire. So now I have a little bit of tea about Jana. So remember how I said that Jana is not moving out and she can't move out because Jim Bob won't allow her to move out. And there was a lot of questions about why would she stay? What is she staying for? Is she staying for the kids? Is she helping around the house? Or is she the Cinderella of the house? Is she staying because she wants to protect the kids? And long story short, I'm told that she's not really around that much. So the person I spoke to said the idea that she stays for the kids, they didn't see it at all because she's not at the house very much, at all. She's either off doing projects or she's out with friends or she's doing stuff by herself. She doesn't spend a lot of time directly with the younger kids. She doesn't do as much as people think she does. She's not like the housemaid that it's sort of portrayed in the media. She's not like doing all of Michelle's work. Apparently, Michelle's a lot more involved with the younger kids, which actually, if you think about it, makes sense because she's got way less kids now to worry about. She's got a bunch of kids that are like adults, and she's got Jackson, Joanna, Jennifer, Josie. What is there, four or five that are left at home, right? That are under 18. So she has way less kids. So apparently she does most of the stuff with the kids that are left at home, and Jana does not. And Jana's not there for the kids. But the reason why Jana's there has a lot of people still confused. Jordan, yes. And Tyler, yes, the nephew Tyler, sorry. But it's not Jana that's taking care of them. And it's not Jana that's doing their homeschooling. And it's not Jana that's doing all of that kind of stuff. It's mostly Michelle at this point, or the older kids that are still there, that are like the, kids down the line or whatever. So the context of understanding is like, why won't she leave? I mean, even people around her that are adults want her to move out. They want her to leave. They want her to go. They wish she would leave, and she doesn't. They don't understand why she stays. They don't understand why she won't branch out and why she won't leave the house. Outside of Jim Bob not letting her, that's like the only thing that I can think of. But I think I told you guys last night, I did a video about how Jim Bob brought Titus Hall down to Arkansas. So I don't even know when it was, last summer, maybe. Jim Bob got this idea that he was going to set up Jana with Titus. So Jana's 31 years old. Titus is 27. Titus is from a fundamentalist background. He's a pastor. And he brought Titus to Arkansas to meet Jana. And Jana rebuffed him and was not interested. And Titus then met Lauren Caldwell and liked her. So he gets her, basically, he's brought in all these different guys to meet her, and she just doesn't like any of them. And she doesn't want to move out, or she's not moving out, but she's never around. And she's being really picky. And it's interesting. She doesn't trust men that she can sense. Yeah, I mean, there's always that lingering rumor about her and Laura that's been prevailing for years because they're such close friends. And I guess Laura was actually living at the house. And then she moved away very abruptly. And she was like living full time with the Duggars. Laura was. She had moved to Arkansas, and she was living at the Duggars' house. And then she moved back sometime this past fall to wherever she's from. I don't know what state she's from. So she's not at the Duggars anymore. She's not around as much anymore. She and Jana aren't spending as much time together, but she was there a lot, and now she's not. So even people like around Jana aren't really clear about Laura and Jana's relationship. They're confused by it as well. But they did say that even if Jana was like a lesbian, their parents would never accept it. And if she did come out, they would force her to leave because they would never want her to influence the kids. Like they're so against it that they would not want her to live there. So there's someone that runs a fan page floated this idea to me, was that the Duggars are actually secretly okay with Jana being with Laura. And then everyone around them accepts it. And this person said that would never happen, like ever. The Duggars would never be okay with it at all. And she would have to. So the confusion around Jana and Lauren continues, but they both have said that there's nothing going on there. And again, I'm not trying to speculate. It's honestly just it's been a common question for such a long time. It's only offensive if you think someone being gay is offensive. I don't think the Duggars would be okay with it either. Yeah, and so the issue here is that, you know, if one of their kids is gay, the Duggars would never accept it. And the Duggars would either force the kid to be like shunned from the family, or they would have to they would have to be celibate and not act on it, or they would have to stuff it down and marry into a heterosexual relationship, even if they're not feeling it. And that's sad. Wasn't there a rumor that she had courted as a teenager, the boy broke it off? You know, I don't know about that. There's been a lot of rumors about her courting people. What I can tell you is that there was a rumor about her courting this guy named Caleb, but that's not true at all. Like, at all. Caleb was the guy that was apparently arrested for SA. He was like in his 20s and the girl was like 14 or 15. And he was staying with the Duggars for a point in time. And so people assumed that while he was seen with the Duggars that he must be with Jana. But the people connected to Caleb said that's absolutely not true at all. Like, Jana and Caleb were never together. They were never courting. It was never a thing. So there's always these questions that she has courted, but there's never been a confirmed court ever that's known about. There's a lot of men that have been introduced to her, but none that she's actually been interested in. Tim Tebow, that's just a rumor. That didn't happen. It's really sad that, like, if you have a child, they have 20 kids. Statistically, one of them is going to be in the LGBTQ plus. And that means statistically that child has to pretend they're not in order to stay in the family, or they have to be shunned. I feel like she wants independence. I don't get a vibe that she's ever interested in men. I just haven't. Maybe she just wants to live a celibate life. Maybe she wants to live a celibate life. That's true. She's 31. In normal world, 31 is not old. But in fundamental world, in the fundy world, 31 is old because most of these kids get married at 18, 19, or 20. It's very rare for them to be in their 30s and unwed. Very rare. In fact, I was looking through some friends of, I was looking at tags that had Justin Duggar in them earlier today. And I was looking through some of his friends. And I was noticing that a lot of his friends within the context of being a couple years older than him or the same age are already married. So a lot of the kids in that age group are either getting married like Justin or are already married. So this thing though is that she's not raising any kids. According to the people I spoke to, she doesn't really help that much at home. So there's that. But yes, she did have to. Yeah, so they had 19 kids and then they have Tyler. Maybe Jana feels if she can't be her true self, she would prefer to be single. This is true too. You love the wind chime. Well, thank you. So I don't really know. I'm going to do like a more concrete video about this, a more in sync one, like a timeline, so I can weave this all in and show you the story of it. But it is really odd to me. And there's not a lot of explanations. And it hasn't been for a lack of people interested. And then there was some the funny thing is when I was talking to this person, so they're friends with this whole group, like the IBLP, it's all very small and all the families really know each other. And so this person was talking about how the Bates, did you know the Bates were like in some sort of cult in Tennessee before they were part of the Institute of Basic Life Principles? That's what this source told me. They said the Bates came from a cult that they left, and then they joined the Institute of Basic Life Principles. And well, yes, this is true. I'm saying she doesn't have to get married. She doesn't. And I'm not saying she has to. It's just this world, it's not usual, right? So it's not normal in this world. It doesn't mean she has to, or she can stay single. That's totally fine. Completely fine. I would support that. I'm totally fine with that. Can creators get in trouble for talking about the same people? Like doing too many videos about one person? The Bates are looked at as less dangerous a lot, and I am like, nope. So the Bates were in, I'll get back to this question, Amelia. The Bates are apparently from some sort of cult in Tennessee, and they're also apparently really stuck up and self-centered. And no, Lawson does not have a girlfriend at all. And apparently Lawson is really arrogant. Shocker, and very difficult to be around. Very full of himself, I'm told. I really don't think that should surprise anyone. Titus's family is the highest degree, for sure. So getting back to your question, Amelia, in terms of videos, so there's this policy which is regarding like creator on creator harassment, and it's a really gray area. So what Onision did to people in terms of like how he targeted, say, Eugenia Cooney in today's world, that would not fly at all. Just talking about another creator, I think it's fine as long as it's not to drive hate or to spread hate or to cause hate between the channels. You know what I mean? I always think you kind of have to be mindful about how you cover other creators, because from a legal standpoint, all creators are considered competitors. So you always want to make sure that when you're talking about other creators, you take into account that trying to destroy your competition is actually a grounds for a civil lawsuit. So you have to be really careful about how you talk about them. And then there's always the other aspect of like the harassment side of it, the hate speech that can go with it. But I think if you're talking about people in a constructive way and it's not mean spirited and it's not to make people hate the other creator, I think you can do that. I think there's plenty of creators that talk about creators and they're not trying to make them hate that creator. I do think there are channels where their sole goal is to make them hate whoever they're speaking about. So I try to toe the line between, you know, sharing my opinions on specifically like the Duggars. Like, do I agree with every single thing that is done by the Duggars? No. But I also don't want to spread hate to them. And I also don't want to like alienate the fundamentalists that might watch this channel and like maybe get something out of this and realize, oh, there's a world outside of this. You know what I mean? Like, you can talk about what's going on, like say like Jill, like we cheer Jill Dillard and Jill Duggars like breaking free, and we cheer the girls on when they make steps to do things to move forward and they take steps towards breaking some of those chains that they've been growing up in. And then you can also talk about not agreeing with Jim Bob Duggar, which is like most people don't. You know what I mean? Like most people don't agree with him. So that's not, or saying like you don't like Josh Duggar. Nobody likes Josh Duggar. So that's not a hard one to go for. But could they be inbred? I don't know. I don't want to go there. But yeah. So I didn't feel like this was bait because you come in here a lot, Amelia, and you're fine. And I think most people here, like, you want to hope the best, and you also want to expose the bad. So you want to like cheer on the good moments, but also discuss the bad moments. You know, it's like, I feel like there's opportunities for education, and I feel like the really bad stuff needs to be brought to light, especially how these groups really under report SA or child or CSA, how they really don't protect victims of SA, how they blame victims of SA, how they don't believe people that have been SA'd, how they treat women. I think that's a really important dynamic that needs to be brought to light. Also the amount of children that they have and the lack of supervision, the lack of education. There's a lot of things that need to be discussed in that context. You can have freedom of religion, but when your children are ultimately neglected and controlled to an abusive extent, those are important conversations to have, because you are, from a legal perspective, your child legally cannot be abused with your religion, right? So you don't get to tell the state that it's my religion and I'm going to treat my kid however I want, you know? Like, that's just not how it works. Your children are actually free from your religion too. So, yeah. I try to do a fine line. And then sometimes I just really like talking about the drama, like just talking about the drama between the sisters, talking about the drama on the Roloff family, talking about the drama in the sister lives. I would love, yeah. Could we get her out of the cult? That would be amazing. Is Justin was found looking at content and reprimanded. How do you know he's not going to pull a Josh? Bad parenting. No, Justin was not found looking at content that I know of. That was Jason that I was told. But in terms of Justin, I was told that he was talking to multiple girls, like several, a lot, while he was dating Claire. And he wasn't telling Claire, and he didn't tell his parents. And allegedly. And because of that, apparently they are, you know, they were shocked that Claire wanted to keep going with him. Yeah, like exactly. Like, I feel like they talked, I know he talked to girls. Well, he was supposed to be in a committed relationship with Claire. That's the problem. So you do a very good job of presenting the drama from the fundamentalists and the roll-offs and so forth, and you make it interesting. That's my goal. Linda says that Jana is always welcome in her home. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on these kids to get married when they're not ready. And that was kind of the extent of what this person said. 2 people have now said this to me about Justin, is that he's just very immature. Of course he is. He's 18. He is also got a wandering eye. Of course he does. He's 18. It's not typically normal for an 18-year-old. I mean, you're supposed to kind of date around at that age and have fun and try out different people, right? I mean, that's what part of learning who your person is. You don't learn your person by simply the first person you're ever with. I mean, it works sometimes for some people, but not all the time. Yeah, he's for sure behaving just like a normal young kid, for sure. So that's what I have for now. Oh, well, thank you. I love you watching my content. He's a boy. He needs to experience relationships. Exactly. That's what I wish they would allow, is just normal adolescent behavior. I feel like a lot of the problems that they have is because they stifle that down and they don't allow it. And that repression creates this expression that you see in the boys where they don't know how to handle it, and normal urges are frowned upon. And it creates this, they don't know anything, they're not taught anything, and then they have no boundaries. If he was doing something so bad, Claire should run before she gets married. But on the other hand, you can have multiple friends for life. It's just a... They were supposed to be exclusive, and he was apparently having like flirty relationships with other girls, apparently. I don't know. All right, so that's what I've got for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back tomorrow with more. Bye, guys.